I wanted to create a little skit to express myself about the Democrat Party and how I was able to join. And I want you to hear it. Sniff, sniff. Sorry for the tears. I'm just so humbled, proud at the same time. I've joined my Democrat brothers and sisters and a few other genders only on the left. They have shown me great acceptance and understanding over my whiteness. They said they were willing to overlook that now that I had joined them. Oh, decent. How did this happen, you ask? Well, here's my story. I was walking out of a pizzeria with a large pepperoni pizza when I was approached by a homeless man. I estimated he was around 26 or so. He asked me, "Dude, can I get a slice of pizza?" I gave him a slice and he asked me, I asked him, "What's your story?" He proceeded to tell me that his mom and dad threw him out of his basement apartment downstairs. They just threw me out on the street, he said. They had pressured him to stop playing Xbox and get a job. What gall, right? Assholes. They thanked me for the slice. And I said, "Forget about it." And I proceeded to walk home. Moments later, he ran up on me and I turned around as soon as he approached. I pulled my knife and I had it to his throat. He jumped back and said, "Hey, man, I just wanted to give you this," he says. So he proceeds to hand me this piece of paper, a brochure from the local colleges. He said, "Thanks again for the slice," and walked away. The brochure, it was a Democratic handbook. It contained the rules, their beliefs, how they think. It had it all. How to become a good Democrat, it read. I read through it and was so impressed. They had this checklist of must-dos in order to join, and I was now ready. I took the checklist, studied it. I was ready to get this checklist done. Here's where my story really starts. It had some sacrifices, but it was desperate. I was desperate to join, and nothing or nobody was going to stop me. I knew what I had to do, so I got to it. I grabbed my son, 8 months old. We named him Little Timmy. And away, I threw him in the back seat of my car and drove off. I hated to do this to Little Timmy, but it had to be done. I drove through the night, and when we finally arrived in Portland, finally, I thought. So as I pulled up to the abortion clinic parking lot, I got out of the car, opened up the back door, and grabbed my 8-month-old baby out of the car and threw him onto the clinic lawn. In an instant, about 2 seconds, I barely blinked. The staff converged on my son, pulling him apart at every joint, dismembering him. They all walked back into the clinic, all carrying a limb of what was my son. My God, I thought. Anyway, I walked up to the doctor, the only one left standing on the lawn, and I said, "Please, sir, can I get a receipt for my son so I can prove what I had done to him later on for my Democratic application?" Also, I asked him, "What will become of my son's body parts?" He replied, "The whole staff is on the lines right now negotiating with the Chinese Communist Party, asking for bids now." "Okay," I said at that, and I left. I was a little sad. After all, I was getting fond of the little lad. I was going to show the Democrat Party that I was all in, and if I knew I was being convincing, I had to dress the part. So off to Walmart I went. I bought me a green Go Biden shirt, a black pair of skinny jeans, and some yellow, green, and blue hair dye. I automatically felt feminine, but that was the price I had to pay. My checklist was getting shorter. Next, I went to the hospital and artificially had myself impregnated. I am now pregnant with child.
All right.
You go, boy, right? Anyway, after the child is born, I will have its reproductive organs castrated, rendering him gender neutral. Next on the list, I walked into the ladies' restroom, sat on the toilet next to this woman, and proceeded to take a dump. I was shitting. She was shitting. All the while, we're staring at each other without a word spoken. After I stood up, my ass facing her, and I proceeded to wipe my ass clean. I asked her if she wouldn't mind holding my toilet paper at a 45-degree angle. She refused. I finished wiping myself, got up, and walked out. As I was walking out, there was this guy and his family standing at the entrance, and I assumed it was her husband. I gave him a side grin and a wink and kept on walking. Next, I went to the Democrat office to apply for the membership. As I told them what I had done, they gathered around me in excitement of my determination to join them. They asked me how I felt, what my goals were. I told them what they wanted to hear. I said, sometimes I feel like a girl, sometimes I feel like a boy. Depends on how I feel that day. I said that I had given up my white privilege high-rise apartment for a tent. I'll be living in a tent behind the commodes at the park off 2nd Street. They were all getting excited at this point, gathering around me, giving me praises. They were proud of me. At this point, they wanted to know more. I told them I was in full support of the Chinese Communist Party. Claps erupted with cheer. I went on to tell them I'm always offended. I'm medicated, depressed. I got no job. I cry a lot. Always look for safe spots. At that, cheers, pats on the back. You go, boy, from the crowd, they told me. In tears of joy, the room exploded with cheers. I was almost done with my application. They asked me one final question. Is there anything you want to tell us to make us even more proud of you? Then we already are. I put my head down. This was it. I needed one more bombshell revelation to get into the Democratic Party. I pondered and I pondered. The whole room was so silent I could hear a pin drop. Beads of sweat pouring down my face. Maria, come on, huh? Beads of sweat pouring down my face. I told them I took it up the ass last night and I liked it for God and country. The room was still silent, which seemed to linger suddenly. All of a sudden, in tears of joy, the room exploded with cheers again, and they were dancing around, patting me on the back. They said, well, that's my story. Remember the park where I said I lived? Well, look me up sometime. I'll bring me a pepperoni pizza. Eat that, you sucker.